Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
She's a clinical psychologist, a certified sex therapist. She writes, she lectures. She's one of the leaders of radio call-in, and she really works all over the world. Everyone calls her Dr. Judy. And so tell me about you. What have you been up to?
Oh, Joan, I love you. You are the best. My God, we have go back a long time being pioneers. You have been giving your audiences such great advice all these decades. So bless you, bless you, bless you. I cherish you. Yes, we started years ago. My first time in what?
I said years ago. In fact, I met your mother in a local little beauty parlor. You know, in the West 40s, 100 years ago. All right. So
my mother is an angel. And when I started on the radio, you remember, you did too, in 1980 on WABC, the day the music died. And I used to go on the air from 9 to midnight every night, 3 hours, all Monday through Friday, with answering people's questions. And they were all over the place, the questions about relationships, which they still were. Then I went to WOR, you know that. And then Z100 was talking a lot to young people. We would go, music would stop, and then we'd come on the air talking about love and sex and questions. But on WABC, it was also the Yankees were on. And so when the tarp went on the field, when it was raining, Dr. Judy would come on talking about sex. So we went from baseball to sex. And my mom was so sweet. She listened every night. And when there were questions about babies pooping or things like that, I would call her in the breaks and say, Ma, what do I answer? I knew about relationships, but not about babies.
Right.
But the
and your mom
questions,
was
Joan,
a whiz. Your mom was a whiz. And I remember that you too you did sports. Weren't you a baseball pitcher? And you did all that stuff, and you had a band.
Oh, yes. I played football with my husband, played football and baseball at the Friars Club. I played on that team. A big sports fan. I played in a band, all-girl band back then and I used to do the Fleetwood Mac songs. The Rihanna was like the Rihanna stand-in. So, yeah, I mean, I used to encourage people that if they wanted a full life, they could explore a lot of different things. And then, of course, everybody, Joan, had the same questions, by the way, over and over again. And to this day, now, how many years? 50 years later, people still have 40 some odd years, that the same questions. The biggest question from people who had a relationship, how do I keep the spark alive? It's still a problem. And from single people, where do I go to meet someone? Of course, now there's all the internet things, but it's still the major issues.
Yeah. And I'm curious with 9/11, of course, do you find that people are still turning to you to help them get through it, even though they may not have actually been there? Does this kind of event leave scars forever?
It does leave scars forever. It is called an anniversary reaction, and I've written about it in professional journals and in newspapers and magazines a lot, that it's really like a marriage, a divorce, getting a house, having a baby, your first love. These are we call them marker events that are transitional, that you remember where you were when it happened, and the feelings return. who's of all your listeners, they remember major events in their life. Unfortunately, as time goes on with 9/11, it recedes a little bit, except when the news comes back on, and then people get that feeling again. And I once wrote an op-ed, Joan, that was about how angry I was when the Mayor Bloomberg at that time said, "Get over it already." And I wrote an ABC.com, op-ed saying, "Get over it." No, some people, Joan, need to process every year. There are others, by the way, more men than women, because we know of this, despite generalizations, women are more emotional. They like to talk more. Men like to get on with it, fix the car, fix the air conditioner, whatever. But there are people who just say, enough is enough. I don't want to think about it. And then there are a lot of people who have emotions and they need to process it. It's the same with everything. Whatever, goes on, there are talkers and there are silencers.
Mm-hmm. And of course, a lot of people respond to what you call marker events in very negative ways or lose control.
They do, and they don't sometimes know why. So when this lead up happens and they hear things on the radio, like now we're talking, or they watch it on TV, or somebody reminds them about it, they may have this is so typical. I write about it a lot. They have an argument with their spouse, or they're yelling at their children, or they can't sleep, and they're not really sure why. And it is related to these underlying feelings. And it's the same with every major event. When you build up, even to Christmas and Hanukkah, any holiday, it's the lead up to a big event. And, we still have terrorism. We still have, look, today there was a major shooting. I mean, these events happen in our lives. They're not as big as the international crisis, but, with COVID, it brought back a flood of feelings about 9/11, about tsunamis, about superstorms in our area when we had the storm in New Jersey and New York and Brooklyn. I mean, people have these feelings, and they need to know you're normal. It's okay if you have them, that the problems that you're having, if you're escalating in your irritability now, it could be related to this. Get it out. Talk about it, even if you want to pretend it didn't happen, which some people do. But, it comes up for me, having walked the pit, we call it the pit, where the planes went down and the big hole in the ground. I mean, I suffer a lot when the lead up and the group I belong to, and I go to the Mount Sinai program for all my problems with my nose and breathing and all these things. So even for those of us who were there, right in the smack of it, it's a serious problem. And I like to be able to say to my close friends, guess what? This is a tough time for me.
But let me ask you, do you find that COVID had that kind of crisis reaction too?
Oh, my
or
God,
was
Joan.
it on a different plane?
Oh, Joan, this is going to last forever and ever, because 9/11 was a horrible, but an event. Bang, it happened. We, had long aftermath of the recovery, and it still goes on and on. But COVID, we're going to be living with this forever. Everybody's going to remember where they were also these whole 2 years, what it was like, the isolation. As a psychologist, it's not ending with people talking about it, and the children's problems with going back to school and their interruption, the fact that they can't even talk to people because they're so busy having been on a screen. They don't know how to communicate. It's just COVID babies, who didn't have any interaction. As a psychologist, I know this from developmental psychology. People who had babies and the babies weren't socialized with talking to strangers. It's just awful. And we're going to be living with this forever. So as a psychologist, I'm just always hearing about this and talking to people about every level, their relationships, that people that broke up over COVID, that really it was too intense to be together, arguing all the time. It's just been awful. And I even had it myself. And so I know what it's like from all angles. It was just awful. I nearly died.
Aye. And there, of course, the mental challenges, as you point out, aren't going anywhere. They're here.
They're here and they're ongoing. And then we had Delta. Now we have Omicron. Granted, people aren't dying as much, but they're not wearing masks as much. I went to my nephew's wedding in San Diego. There were 2 people wearing a mask. Some weddings have been super spreaders. It's just astounding. Yesterday, I went to a reading of Frida. Oh, you love culture, Joan. You are the culture maven. I went to a reading of Frida Kahlo. The musical is going to be coming hopefully to Broadway.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Oh, it was fantastic. They played 8 songs, and the story of the relationship between Diego, and Frida Kahlo, 2 massively well-known artists, and $37 million they paid for one of her paintings recently. This is going to be a big hit. But the love, they were toxic relationships. When he asked for her hand in marriage to the father, he said, "But she has demons," and he said, "That's great. I love that." And they married, got divorced, married again, and still, when she died, he said she was the love of my life. I couldn't have lived without her, and I don't want to. And then 3 years later, he died. But it's quite a love story. All of us, by the way, really, Joan, we all want to be loved, like, till the end of time. That statement that I love you, you are my life, that Diego said to Frida was, I got chills last night. It was so amazing. And I am actually invested in the piano lesson. You have to come see it.
Oh, you're kidding.
No,
what made you change? I know. Tell me about it. What made you get involved?
Yeah, I know. You said this is like a whole thing you didn't know, that I invest in Broadway. I did Tina and Ain't Too Proud, and both of those
good for you.
COVID.
2 hits.
Well, they were hits.
I know. Well, the theater has suffered.
Oh my God!
It's tough. Even now, it's tough.
Absolutely, but there's a lot of plays coming. Piano lesson with Samuel L. Jackson starting in a month. So it's my first.
Exciting.
Very. You know what?
This
is how to get over the horrors of COVID, the 9/11, anniversary. Anything anybody's dealing with that is anxious in their life is get involved in something that gives you pleasure and get those endorphins, chemicals in your brain. You talk about sex leads to those endorphins, and running leads to the activity. So thrills lead to floods of chemicals, pleasure chemicals in your brain. Get them going.
Well, Judy, I'm talking to Dr. Judy Kuriansky. Judy herself, because she is always during moments of crisis counseling people, rarely gets time to deal with her own angst, having been at so many of these horrific events. So the counselor sometimes needs a little bit of help too. And this is a time with anniversaries and reminders and endless pandemics for people to really take stock, right? What do you think? Do people really need a lot of help, or can they deal with it themselves?
Well, I'm prejudiced about it because I know how helpful it could be to talk it out to someone. And for everybody who's listening, if you have a trusted friend or partner, then indeed, that's a good time to really take advantage of sharing something very intimate with that person. People walk around with secrets, Joan. They need to get it out, and with a trusted person. And certainly with a professional. There are very good professionals who understand how to help people now. I mean, you mentioned my mom. I used to talk to my mom. Unfortunately, she's gone. She always was so loving and so good listener, not changing the topic. Now, my best friend is Russell Daisy, who co-wrote the 9/11 song that I hope you'll play, because we wrote this. He was in my class at Columbia, where I teach about intimacy, and now I teach about the United Nations. But we wrote that song, Towers of Light, and it is a healing song that is very beautiful. So he's my best friend. I talk to him. I have to be able to talk. I'm a psychologist. I have to be able to talk about my feelings. So about 9/11, there's the organization, Voices and Resilience, and we get together every year and during the year, and we talk things out. And, you know, it's a release. If you're going to, you know, some people want to take a bath. Some people want to go for a walk.
Right.
Anything you do to get rid of your pressure, do it.
It's good to talk to you. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to talking again.
I love you, Joan.
Thank you, Judy.
Hello, folks. Larry Kudlow here. Pay attention, because China is leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II. One that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Please go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.